Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to crack open that mysterious black box sitting on your desk. We're going to demystify the incredibly complex machine you use every single day by picturing it as a busy and, you'll see, a surprisingly logical digital office.
I mean, really stop and think about it for a second. You click a little icon, and this entire world just appears. It feels like magic, doesn't it? But it's not. It's actually a beautifully organized process. So what is going on in there between your click and the result you see on screen?
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the 4 basic jobs every computer has. Then we'll figure out the difference between hardware and software. After that, we'll actually step inside our digital office and meet the whole team. We're going to get a close-up look at the brain, that's the CPU, and we'll untangle how all the different types of memory work. And then, the best part, we'll see why all this techie stuff actually matters to you.
So, first things first, it doesn't matter how complicated the task seems. You could be editing a Hollywood movie or just, sending an email. Every single computer on the planet is built to do just 4 basic things.
It's really just a simple loop. Think about ordering a coffee. You tell the barista what you want, that's input. The barista grinds the beans and makes your latte, that's processing. They hand you the finished cup, that's your output. And if you save that order as a favorite in their app for next time, well, that's storage. Input, process, output, store. That's it. That's the core of everything.
Okay, so to get those 4 jobs done, a computer needs 2 very different things to work together. You can think of it like an office building, right? You've got the physical building itself, the desks, the walls, the computers, and then you have the company rules and all the procedures that say what actually happens inside that building. And this slide really lays it out. On one side, you have hardware. That's all the stuff you can physically pick up and touch. Your monitor, your keyboard, all the little chips inside the case. But on the other side, you have the software. These are the invisible instructions, your operating system, your web browser, your games, that tell all that physical hardware what it's supposed to be doing. One's the body, the other is the mind.
So let's stick with that analogy and walk right through the front doors of our digital office. It's time to meet the key players, the team that takes your clicks and commands and turns them into something real. First up, we've got to meet the most important person in the whole building, the Central Processing Unit, or CPU. This is the brain, the boss, the CEO of this entire operation. Every single major decision, every calculation, every instruction has to go through the CPU. Nothing happens around here without the boss's okay. But even the most brilliant boss can't just work in an empty room, right? They need a desk, a workspace to spread out all the papers and tools they're using right now. And that's exactly what the memory unit is. It's the active workspace where all the current data and instructions are kept so the CPU can grab them in a split second.
Now, let's get a little more specific. Let's peek inside the boss's office. Because the CPU isn't just one thing. It's really a small, highly specialized team working together at mind-boggling speeds. So, meet the control unit. This is the office manager, the super organized one with the clipboard. It doesn't do the heavy lifting itself, but it runs the entire show. It goes and gets the instructions from memory, and then it directs all the traffic, telling all the other parts of the computer what to do and exactly when to do it. It's kind of like the central nervous system. And working right alongside the manager is the Arithmetic Logic Unit, or ALU. This is the resident math genius. I mean, the absolute whiz. Anytime a calculation is needed, whether it's simple addition or a logical question like, is this value bigger than that one, the control unit just hands the task over to the ALU, which spits out the answer almost instantly.
And finally, all over the CPU's desk, you've got these things called registers. The best way to think of these, they're like tiny, lightning-fast sticky notes. They hold the one specific piece of data the ALU is working with at that exact nanosecond. Access to them is instantaneous, which is absolutely critical for that high-speed processing.
So, you've heard me mention the CPU's sticky notes and the main workspace. This brings us to a really important idea, the memory hierarchy. You see, just like a real office has a desk for current work, filing cabinets for recent projects, and maybe a huge archive warehouse for old files, a computer needs different kinds of storage for different jobs. And it all comes down to a really basic trade-off. You can get memory that is incredibly fast, but it's going to be really expensive and you won't get much of it. Or you can get a massive amount of storage for cheap, but it's going to be slow. It's just a law of physics, really. The closer the data is to the CPU, the faster it is. So the only smart solution is to use a mix of all of them. Now this is where it gets wild. Look at the sheer scale of the speed difference here. If we say getting data from your slow hard disk takes 1 second, well, getting that same data from RAM would take 1/100th of a second. But getting it from the cache or those registers right on the CPU, we're talking 1/1000th of a second. That's an incredible difference, and it's exactly why this hierarchy is so crucial for a fast computer.
And this table just breaks it all down perfectly. Cache memory? That's your sticky notes, the absolute fastest, but you can only write a tiny bit of info on them. Primary memory, or RAM, that's your office desk. You've got way more space, and it's still super quick to grab things. And secondary memory, your hard drive, that's the giant archive room down the hall. It holds everything forever, but man, it's a long walk to go get a file. And notice that word volatile. It just means that when you turn the power off, your sticky notes and your desk get cleared off completely. Only the archive room is permanent.
So how do we measure all this space in our archive room and on our desk? Well, it all starts with the smallest piece of data there is, a bit, which is just a tiny switch that's either off or on, a 0 or a 1. You group 8 of those little bits together and you get 1 byte. That's just enough space to store one single character, like the letter A.
Now, if you scale that way up, you get to something you've probably heard of, like a gigabyte. That's over 1,000,000,000 bytes. To give you some perspective, that's enough space to hold about a 45-minute high-def movie. It just shows you the incredible scale of our digital archive room.
Okay, so we've met the entire office team, we've toured the storage facilities, but how does any of this actually help you? Why does this matter in the real world? Well, let's put this knowledge to the test.
All right, let's imagine an architect. Her computer takes forever to open up those huge 3D model files she works with. But once the file is finally open, everything is super smooth and fast. So what's going on? Which part of our digital office is the problem here?
The bottleneck is that long, slow trip to the archive room. Retrieving that giant file from her slow secondary memory is what's taking all the time. The obvious solution? Upgrade that archive from an old, slow hard disk to a much faster solid-state drive. Now, the reason it's fast once it's open is because the file is now sitting on her desk, the super-fast RAM. So if her problem was trying to work on 10 huge files at once and things got slow, what would be the issue then? Not enough desk space. The solution? Get a bigger desk. In other words, add more RAM.
And that is really the whole point. Once you understand why your computer is behaving a certain way, once you can picture the little office in your head, you're not just guessing anymore. You can actually pinpoint the problem and make a smart decision to fix it.
So, the next time your computer feels sluggish, you can actually ask yourself the right question. Am I waiting for someone to run down to the archive room, or is my desk just too cluttered to work on? Knowing that difference is everything. So take a look at your digital office. What part needs an upgrade first?